She discovered an incredible billionaire in a heartwarming leap, transforming their lives forever. Holly's alarm blared like a siren, piercing through the layers of dreams she clung to each night. As she rubbed her eyes awake, the cheerful giggles of her son Jake echoed from the tiny bedroom down the hall. He was always an early riser, his enthusiasm for the day something she admired yet couldn't fully embrace. She stumbled out of bed, the weight of 2 jobs and a mountain of bills pressing down on her shoulders. Yet, when she saw Jake's bright, innocent face, a flicker of hope ignited in her chest. Each morning, she donned a smile like armor, ready to tackle the judgmental glances from the wealthy patrons at the cafe where she waitressed. It was a vibrant Midwestern town, lively on the surface but riddled with economic divides. She poured coffee for people who didn't know the meaning of living paycheck to paycheck. Her world felt so far removed from theirs. But her grit and determination for Jake made the disparaging looks easier to bear, for she wanted nothing more than to be his beacon of hope. The annual charity event was looming, an event meant to showcase the positive changes in their community. Despite the anxiety fluttering in her stomach, she felt called to speak. The night of the event, standing on that stage, her heart raced. The audience was impeccable, clad in designer attire, sipping on overpriced champagne. But as she looked out into the sea of faces, something stirred within her. It was time for their realities to collide. "Too many families are shadows here," she said, her shaky voice sharpening into something strong and defiant. "You see the numbers, unemployment rates, poverty lines, but we are more than statistics. We are struggling parents, striving for the future." Her passion poured out, igniting something buried deep within the crowd. Even her own doubts began to simmer down. Amid this, Ethan sat in the audience. A reclusive billionaire cloaked in wealth, he had been searching for meaning in the emptiness of inherited riches. Holly's story hit him like a lightning bolt, awakening something long tucked away in his own heart. As Holly's efforts drew attention, her community's whispers turned sour. Instead of gratitude, she faced suspicion, labeled just the help despite her noble intentions. Ethan, wanting to be her quiet ally, began his secret routine of support. Generous donations, helping her with gifts for Jake, all unnoticed acts of kindness. Yet, each act only stirred up further rumors about her integrity, painting her in an unflattering light. Then came the day Holly stumbled upon Ethan's anonymity, sending shockwaves through her world. Torn between loyalty to her community and the allure of a different life, she found herself questioning everything. Was this betrayal too deep for redemption? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As tensions rose, Holly found herself teetering on the edge. Could she bridge the emotional canyon between their worlds? Could love withstand the palpable judgment lurking at every corner? Each day felt heavier as her hope clashed with fears of unwanted scrutiny. Just as she prepared to confront the swirling storm, an unexpected revelation could reshape everything she believed about loyalty and desire. Would she take that leap of faith into a future forged in love, or would fear hold her back from the life she so desperately craved? Holly sat on the edge of her bed, the soft morning light streaming through the curtains. Heart racing, she couldn't shake the feeling that everything had changed overnight. Ethan's name lingered in her mind like a fleeting whisper, his intentions both a comfort and a burden. She couldn't believe he had silently supported her. The realization stirred conflicting emotions within her, a sense of gratitude entwined with a biting indecision. Jake bounded into the room, his tiny feet pattering against the hardwood floor. His bright blue eyes sparkled with curiosity and joy. "Mom, can we go to the park today?" he asked, innocence radiating from him like sunshine. She could never turn him down. He was her world, her reason to fight against the tide of struggles that surrounded them both. "Sure, buddy," she replied, forcing a smile. "But first, we need to get ready." As she watched Jake eagerly search for his favorite toy, an undeniable weight lay heavy in her heart. Was she willing to expose him, to put him in the path of rumors and judgment because of her ties to Ethan? After a quick breakfast, they headed to the park. Holly tried to push aside her worries, focusing on Jake's laughter as he rushed toward the swings. She loved these moments. When he was happy, her heart felt lighter. Yet, there was a storm brewing inside her that wouldn't let up. Each swing back and forth echoed her doubts. Could she still stand strong for him while feeling so conflicted? Later that afternoon, Ethan found her. A casual encounter at the park, seemingly coincidental, yet planned. He approached with a hesitant smile, and her heart leapt. Was this chance or purpose? "Hey, Holly," he said softly, hands tucked into his pockets, almost self-conscious. "Can we talk?" "About what?" she asked, trying to mask her own vulnerability. "I just wanted to check in on you," he replied, his gaze steady. "I know things have been tough. I want to help, but I don't want to overstep." Holly took a breath, torn between the desire for support and the nagging suspicion that his wealth somehow tainted it all. "You've done enough, Ethan. Shouldn't we let the community deal with its own issues?" He stepped closer, voice dropping to a whisper. "You're not meant to do this alone. You're inspiring others, they just don't see it yet. But they will." Holly's chest tightened. His words resonated, but with them came the ghosts of insecurities. Doubt lingered like smoke between them, and she yearned for clarity. Would she stand by her truth, or would she bend to the community's harsh judgments? Maybe I just need time," she whispered, unable to meet his intense gaze. Ethan nodded, a flicker of understanding in his eyes. "I get that. But no, you're not just the help, you're significant. Your voice matters." The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting a golden hue over the park, wrapping them in warmth that felt almost protective. Holly could feel the flicker of hope ignite within her, but the shadows of fear still loomed large. Before she could respond, a familiar voice called out from behind. As she turned, the community's leader approached, her smile sweet but heavy with underlying tension. "Holly, we need to discuss your speech from the charity event." Holly's stomach twisted. She felt Ethan's warmth retreat slightly as he stepped back, leaving her at the mercy of the waves crashing around her. The moment was heavy with unspoken words and unfinished thoughts. What awaited her in this confrontation? Would the whispers darken, or possibly transform into a chance for redemption? As she squared her shoulders against the gaze of her peers, a question hung in the air: could she find the courage to stand for her family and her truth while embracing the unexpected support of a billionaire? The outcome was uncertain, but change was hovering close, waiting to be seized. The community leader's voice broke through Holly's swirling thoughts like a bell tolling for a new beginning. "Holly, we're counting on you to inspire everyone at the charity event. Your journey has touched so many lives." The words felt heavy, pressing against her chest. They were meant to empower, yet they echoed her deepest fears. "Right, but," she hesitated, searching for the right words, "I want to make sure that I represent our community well. There's so much more going on that we need to address." The leader's smile faltered, but she quickly composed herself. "That's exactly why your perspective is invaluable. We need people to see that change is possible, and you're a living example." Holly glanced at Ethan, who watched silently from the sidelines, uncertainty flickering in his eyes. Why did he have to be here now? Did he really think her voice could spark some grand change? She felt a wave of pressure, her throat tightening as whispers from the crowd reached her ears. Why is she talking to him? Doesn't she know what he represents? Their judgment stung. Holly swallowed hard, gripping the edges of the swing set. I don't want to speak on my own needs when there are so many others who struggle daily, she finally managed. Holly, the leader pressed gently, this is your moment. Your story is what connects us. Don't underestimate your strength. Strength. The word echoed in her heart, weaving with Ethan's previous encouragement. How could she find that strength when the eyes of her community felt like 1,000 needles? But deep inside, she could feel something shifting. She wasn't just Holly, a single mother struggling to make ends meet. She was someone who had weathered storms and survived. And perhaps it was time to rise. Okay, she breathed out slowly, feeling a spark kindling within. I'll do it. Relief mixed with apprehension flooded the leader's features. That's the spirit. We'll work together to make it impactful. You're stronger than you realize. Holly nodded, her resolve strengthening moment by moment as the sunlight warmed her face. But underneath it all, a whisper of doubt remained. What if she failed? What if sharing her truth only led to more whispers? Jake suddenly squealed, breaking through the tension. Mom! Look at me! He swung high into the air on the playground equipment, his laughter pure and infectious. Holly's heart swelled at his joy, tugging her away from the impending storm. In that moment, everything felt right, but as the sun descended behind the trees and the shadows grew longer, Holly remembered Ethan's gaze still directed at her, his support unwavering yet undoubtedly complicated. I'll need your help, she called, her voice cutting through the fading light. He stepped forward, a hint of eagerness shining through his calm demeanor. Anything you need, Holly. The weight of his promise hung between them, filled with unspoken possibilities. Could he really stand by her side? Together, they would face more scrutiny and challenge than she had ever imagined. As Holly turned back to the community gathering, the nervous energy within her began to simmer into something closer to anticipation. Perhaps this charity event wasn't just a platform for her challenges, but also a chance to showcase the beauty of her resilience, and just as she felt herself beginning to embrace the moment, a voice interrupted again. Holly. We heard you're part of this now. Are you going to take help from wealthy outsiders? The question sliced through her like an icy wind. Holly's stomach flipped as she prepared to confront this new layer of doubt. Would she be defined by her ties to Ethan, or could she carve her own path? With her heart racing in the fading light, Holly had only one thought as she steadied herself. Who would she become in this venture? The answer, filled with uncertainty yet brimming with hope, began to take form. The air hung heavy with unspoken judgments as Holly gathered her thoughts. It felt like a bracing chill had settled around her, as if the setting sun had sent a warning through the trees. She could almost feel the crowd's eyes tracking her every move, dissecting each moment. But she shook off the heaviness like rainwater. Thoughts of Jake, his bubbly laughter, sparked a fire in her heart. Right, she thought, this isn't about them. She opened her mouth, ready to respond to the snide remark that lingered in the air. I'm not taking help, I'm building a community. Ethan stepped in closer, his brow furrowed. You can share your journey without compromising who you are, he whispered, his presence grounding her. His voice was a balm, and it ignited a glimmer of confidence. She turned her gaze to the distant horizon, where the last threads of sunlight slipped away, leaving a pastel sky blushing with possibility. I'll show them, she muttered to herself, feeling a fire kindle deep inside. Just then, a figure approached. It was Sarah, a friend from the community with a heart as big as her determination. Hey, Holly. I heard you're taking a lead on this event. That's amazing. We need someone like you to pull people together, she said, her enthusiasm contagious. Holly's anxiety dimmed. Really? You think so? Absolutely. You've overcome so much, and people need to hear your story. Sarah's sincerity wrapped around Holly like a warm hug. It was the reassurance she needed. She smiled, a flicker of hope igniting in her chest. Come on. Sarah exclaimed, grabbing her hand. Let us go talk to some folks and gather ideas. If we're going to create change, we need everyone's voices. That call to action propelled Holly into motion. As they walked through the gathering, she felt the weight of eyes on her soften. One by one, familiar faces approached. Conversations sparked as they shared ideas and laughter. Holly watched their collective energy flow, and, for the first time, she felt a sense of belonging. This was bigger than her insecurities. This community was hungry for change. Yet the harsh voice of doubt whispered in the back of her mind. Was she equipped to lead? Could she really harness this momentum? With every interaction, that doubt chipped away at her. She spoke passionately, discussing plans for the charity event, outlining the impact they could have together. As the sun dipped lower, a sense of purpose enveloped her. She was standing on the cusp of something transformative, not just for herself but for all of them. After hours of brainstorming, Holly collapsed onto a bench, adrenaline racing through her. Jake was busy trying to impress his new friends on the playground, and she let out a breath of relief. It was exhilarating, but the enormity of it all still loomed. Ethan approached her, his expression serious yet encouraging. "You did great tonight, Holly. But I can see this is weighing on you. What is holding you back?" She looked up, her heart pounding in her chest. "What if I mess this up? I don't want to let anyone down." Ethan crouched to meet her gaze. "You won T. You're speaking from your heart, that's what matters." He paused, his voice lowering. "And you're not alone. I'll be right here, supporting you." His words were like an anchor, grounding her in the storm of uncertainty. But a part of her still couldn't shake the thought that perhaps he was right about her potential. Perhaps this was an opportunity not just for change, but for the connection they never fully explored. "Thank you," she said softly, feeling a bond deepen between them. But just as she began to accept the warmth of his words, the feeling shattered with another voice ringing from the edge of the gathering. "Holly. We've heard from others that you're getting help from a big-name sponsor. What do you say to that?" The weight of that accusation cloaked her again. As the murmur of whispers began anew, Holly's stomach twisted with a mix of anger and fear. Would they ever believe in her enough to see past Ethan's influence? A sense of determination surged within her as she met the crowd's gaze. This was her story. It was past time to tell it boldly. "Listen," she called out, her voice steady. "I'm not just a face of a charity backed by money. I am the voice of us all." The effect was immediate. The crowd's attention sharpened, their whispers waning into silence. This was the moment she knew she had to seize, but would she be able to carry her truth through to the end? As she stood there, adrenaline coursing through her veins, she realized she was ready to become a force of change. But would she find the strength to face whatever came next? The answer hung heavy in the air, laden with promise and uncertainty. Holly's heart raced as the words echoed in the stillness. Suddenly, the crowd seemed less like a sea of judgment and more like a collective of curious souls, eager to understand her truth. She could feel the warmth of their attention, wrapping around her like a soft blanket, as if they were ready to listen for the first time. "Together, we can share our challenges," she continued, her voice gaining momentum. "This event is not just about charity, it's about building bridges between us. Showing that we're more than our struggles, that we're a community, a family." Jake's laughter floated through the air, a sound that pulled a gentle smile onto her face. He was out there, on the playground, completely carefree, a stark contrast to the storms swirling inside her. If he could embrace life with such joy, then so could she. With every word, Holly felt an invisible wall cracking. "I know what it feels like to doubt yourself. To wonder if you're enough. But together, we will prove that we are." Her gaze swept over the crowd, searching for familiar faces, finding support in the nods and smiles reflected back at her. "People often feel alone in their struggles," she went on, her tone resonating even deeper. "But when we reach out, we can lift each other up. I need your stories. Your voices. Help me make this event truly ours." The silence broke as a few scattered claps began, growing into a ripple that washed over the crowd. Holly's heart swelled with hope. Maybe this was it. The moment where fear transformed into something beautiful. Just then, someone from the back shouted, "But what if we fail?" The weight of that question hung in the air, and her heart sank momentarily. What if they did? But she gathered her thoughts quickly. "Failure is just a step toward success," she replied, placing her hands on her hips, grounding herself. "If we don't try, that's a true failure. We owe it to ourselves to reach higher, to aim for what's possible." A ripple of agreement spread through the crowd, resonating far deeper than she expected. She locked eyes with Ethan, who looked both proud and ready for whatever came next. This was the support she needed. "I'm no different than any of you," she added, her voice unwavering now. This is a journey we're all on, a chance to redefine what community means. Then, just as the energy was shifting, she spotted Sarah, flagging her with urgency. Holly. You won't believe this, but we just got a chance to meet with a local billionaire who wants to invest in our project. The news sent a wave of excitement through the group. Their faces lit up, eyes sparkling with possibilities. Could this be the momentum needed to fuel their efforts? But unease bubbled up inside Holly. Did they want this to be about money, about status? Her mind raced with questions. Was it the right path? Wait. I'd love to hear more about it, but she hesitated, heart pounding. What if we lose our vision in the process? It was never about the money for me. Sarah paced forward, her voice steady. I hear you, but this could be the boost we need. Even the biggest dreams need support. Holly's mind whirled. The prospect of external validation was alluring, yet she could feel shadows of doubt brushing against her resolve. Would they remain true to their mission? All I ask, she spoke sincerely, is that we don't forget our roots. We started as a group unified by shared experiences, not by anyone's backing. A murmured agreement spread through the crowd, and she felt the momentum shift again. They were with her. They understood. As the evening wore on and laughter swirled around her, Holly couldn't shake the thought of that mysterious billionaire. Was this the hand of fate reaching out, or a crossroads for her and the community? She stared into the horizon, the night sky sparkling like 1,000 opportunities. What awaited her in this new chapter? As she mulled it over, a rush of anticipation and fear coursed through her veins. She was standing on the edge of something monumental, but would they all leap together? Or would doubt hold them back at the last moment? The tension hung thick, and she knew the answer was just waiting to unfold. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow across the playground, Holly gathered her thoughts. The laughter of children mingled with the distant sounds of evening chatter, creating an unexpectedly comforting backdrop. Yet, in her heart, doubts entwined with her hopes. What if we really take this step? She whispered to herself, the words barely making it past her lips. She turned to see the faces of her neighbors, people she had grown close to despite their different struggles and stories. Their eyes sparkled with dreams, and it filled her with both pride and an acute awareness of the daunting road ahead. Hey, you okay? Ethan approached, breaking her reverie. There was a softness in his voice, a gentleness that invited her trust. Yeah, just thinking, she trailed off, unsure how to articulate the swirl of emotions inside her. He nodded, sensing her turmoil. About the billionaire, right? You know, it could be a game changer. Think of everything we could do together. His enthusiasm was infectious, but Holly felt a weight pressing on her chest. Yes, but what if? What if we changed too much in the process? It's easy to lose sight of why we started this in the first place. Our community wasn't built on money but on real connections, she replied, her voice thick with uncertainty. Ethan rubbed the back of his neck, a thoughtful expression playing on his features. True. But we can use the money to enhance those connections. Maybe this is an opportunity to help even more people who feel lost. Imagine the impact we could have. As she watched him, Holly realized that Ethan was right in his optimism, but her heart wasn't ready to leap toward ambition without knowing if the landing was safe. Do you really think the billionaire understands us? Her question hung in the air between them, weighing heavier than she intended. Ethan hesitated before responding. We won't know unless we take the chance. We just have to keep our intentions clear and not forget where we came from. The clarity of his statement struck her. Maybe it was time to embrace a new kind of courage. Maybe taking a risk could lead to something extraordinary. Just then, Sarah reappeared, her eyes wide with excitement. I just texted with him. He's willing to meet us tomorrow afternoon at the cafe downtown. He wants to discuss his vision for our project. Every face turned toward Holly, and she suddenly felt the weight of the moment. Friendships hinged on her decision. A path carved by so many hopes and fears converged into a single choice. All right, Holly said, her voice steadier this time, let us do it. Let us meet him. The words spilled from her lips, igniting a mixture of elation and anxiety among her friends. Amid their cheers, Holly closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the ground shift beneath her. Would this be the step forward she had been seeking, or a stumble she'd regret? The combination of fear and hope danced within her heart like flames flickering in the night. That night, as she prepared to sleep, the billionaire's face lingered in her mind. It wasn't just about the potential funding, it was about whether he could embrace the very essence of their community. Would he understand their struggle? Or would he see a project to monetize? The layers of her emotions tangled together, and she found herself grappling with questions that felt infinitely more significant than just the meeting. What path lay ahead? Could they blend their dreams with the possibility of wealth without losing their spirit? As her eyes fluttered closed, she knew tomorrow would be pivotal. The cafe would be a meeting point, but it also might become a crossroads, a place where their communal journey could either flourish or falter. What awaited them when they sat across from this mysterious billionaire? Would he echo their hopes or abandon their dreams? The next day arrived with a brightness that felt almost surreal. Holly stood before her mirror, her heart racing as she adjusted her shirt, wanting to present the best version of herself to the billionaire. It was funny how something as superficial as clothing could feel so monumental in moments like these. She took a deep breath, catching a glimpse of the hope clinging stubbornly to the corners of her mouth. Just be yourself, she murmured to her reflection, but uncertainty gnawed at her. She glanced at her phone, no missed messages, all remained silent. Her friends would be arriving soon, and she couldn't shake the idea that the weight of their futures rested on this meeting. When she finally arrived at the cafe, the cool air held a hint of caffeine and anticipation. The aroma clawed at her senses, pulling her further in. The cafe bustled with the chatter of people sipping their drinks, but Holly's focus narrowed on a table near the window. Ethan and Sarah sat there, their expressions a blend of excitement and nerves. "Hey, you made it!" Ethan exclaimed, his smile infectious. Holly forced a grin back, her stomach tangling in knots. "Where's this billionaire?" she asked, her voice quivering slightly. "Should be here any minute," Sarah replied, her eyes sparkling with possibility. "He's got an assistant who came in earlier." They went over the plans for their meeting. Minutes dragged by, each tick of the clock echoing in Holly's mind like a loud drum. The sun streamed through the window, illuminating a world that felt entirely separate from the swirling anxiety within her. Just when she thought the tension couldn't rise any higher, the cafe door swung open. In walked a man in a crisp suit, with an air of confidence that demanded attention. He looked around, and it felt like the whole room shifted with his presence. Holly's breath caught in her throat. This was the billionaire, the person who could either uplift their community or unravel it entirely. "Good afternoon." His voice, warm and inviting, bridged the gap between them. "I'm Ryan. I hope you've all been well." He extended his hand, and Holly could feel the genuine energy radiating from him as she shook it. "Nice to meet you," she managed, her voice steadier than she felt. They settled in, and the conversation flowed. Ryan spoke passionately about his plans, weaving a tapestry of dreams that felt vibrant and inviting. Holly watched as Ethan and Sarah leaned in, their excitement palpable. Yet, doubt crept into her thoughts. The deeper they dived, the more the underlying question loomed: did he really understand them? "Tell me about the things you cherish most in this community," Ryan asked, his eyes brightening in interest. Holly felt a surge of warmth at his question, but fleeting insecurities clawed at her. "We value our connections. It's about supporting each other, knowing we're not alone," she shared, watching for Ryan's reaction. "Exactly," he chimed in. "And that's exactly why I'm here. Together, we can transform this into something that..." But before he could finish, the cafe door opened again, this time with a loud jangle. In walked a group of kids, their laughter vibrant and carefree. Holly's heart swelled at the sight of them. Perhaps this was the foundation they needed to rely on. But as Holly turned back to Ryan, she noticed something shift in his expression, a slight flicker of annoyance at the interruption. Did he see them as a distraction, an inconvenience to his grand vision? As discussions continued, she felt a knot tightening again. It was a delicate balance, standing on the edge of a dream, ready to leap but unsteady on her feet. I just want to ensure we don't lose what makes us who we are, she finally said, her voice gaining strength from the pounding in her chest. Ryan paused, looking at her with an intensity that took her by surprise. What if I told you I'm here to enhance that? We can grow your vision without losing your spirit. Hope mixed with skepticism, and as the conversation continued, Holly knew they were inching closer to a new chapter. But would he really hold on to their roots or cut them down for a profit? The tension hung thick in the air as a crucial moment approached. Could she trust him? All her hopes teetered precariously on one question. Would Ryan be the person they needed, or was he just another wolf in sheep's clothing? The weight of uncertainty pressed on her again, and she couldn't shake the feeling that the real test was still ahead. Holly could feel the warmth of Ryan's gaze drilling into her, but the nagging tension didn't dissipate. He smiled, and there was something about it that seemed honest. Yet, she couldn't shake the feeling that his polished exterior might hide other intentions. Enhancing our spirit, she echoed, mulling over the words. It felt like a promise wrapped in uncertainty. What does that really mean? Ryan leaned forward, his attention fiercely focused. It means investing in community programs, creating spaces for kids, and supporting local businesses. I want to come up with something that combines innovation with the heart of this town. He gestured animatedly, hands weaving as he spoke of brightly colored murals, tech hubs, and job training facilities that would breathe new life into their streets. Ethan and Sarah exchanged glances, excitement bubbling just beneath the surface. Sounds amazing. Ethan chimed in, leaning in as if Ryan's plans could pull him in like a magnet, but Holly hesitated. And do you plan to bring in outside investors? She asked, trying to mask the tremor in her voice. Because well, our town is full of stories that are tied to these places. We want to be involved. Ryan's expression shifted slightly, uncertainty flashing in his eyes. I plan to bring in investors, yes, but I want them to share our vision. I don't want to erase our history, I want to elevate it. The tension in Holly's chest eased just a little. Maybe he wasn't just another businessman looking to cash in on a community's history. Yet, the flicker of annoyance she'd seen before nagged at her mind. Was he really aligned with their values? Before she could probe further, the sound of laughter burst through the cafe as the kids from earlier were joined by a few more, each of them buzzing with energy. They clustered by the register, wide-eyed at the pastries on display, their youthful joy cutting through the serious tone of the conversation. Ryan's expression changed again as he caught sight of them. They're so full of life, he said, a genuine smile breaking across his face. You see, this is exactly what we should be focused on. Making sure they have a future here, a place to thrive. Holly felt a rush of warmth. For a moment, he seemed less like a distant billionaire and more like someone who truly cared. Yet, as quickly as the thought flared, doubt crept back. Did caring mean he would truly listen to what their town needed? Ryan, she began carefully, I just want to make sure those big ideas don't drown out our small ones. We need those personal connections at the heart of this. I completely agree, he said firmly, and there was a determination in his voice that made her heart race. It's about respect. It's about listening to you, Holly, he added with a directness that caught her off guard. Your voice is vital. In that moment, the weight of her concerns felt less heavy. Maybe there was a chance. Maybe trust was just a leap away. As the laughter of the kids filled the room like music, Ryan laid out more detailed plans, throwing hope alongside numbers and projections. Holly could feel herself warming to his vision, but still held on to the caution wrapped around her heart. What if? A taste of optimism crackled in the air, but with it came the sharp edge of reality. An hour later, their discussions had turned into brainstorming sessions. Ideas collided, and there was an electric feeling of collaboration. Holly could see it in Ryan's eyes. He wanted this as much as they did. But just as she began to breathe easier, Ryan's assistant, a woman radiating strict professionalism, stepped forward. We have a bigger meeting to prepare for, Ryan. We're on a tight schedule. The cheerful atmosphere dampened just a little. All the potential hung in the air, still fragile, and Holly couldn't help but glance at the happy children outside. They reminded her why they were here, that warmth that had sparked in her heart. Can we meet again? She blurted out, the words spilling before she could stop it. This isn't just about numbers. We need real conversations. Ryan hesitated, then nodded. Absolutely. We'll organize something soon. I promise. As he walked out, Holly felt a strange mix of exhilaration and apprehension. This meeting had flipped something inside her, but doubt still lurked in the shadows. Would this lead to the change they so desperately needed? Or was it just another false hope dangling in front of them? As she exchanged glances with Ethan and Sarah, she knew they had barely scratched the surface. They were on the brink of something huge, but would they be able to navigate the complexities ahead, and would Ryan truly stand by them when the going got tough? Only time would tell. The sun was dipping low in the sky when Holly stepped out of the cafe, the warm light casting golden reflections on the sidewalk. As she walked, her mind raced with the day's revelations. Ideas danced like fireflies. Ryan's vision of murals and tech hubs, excitement from Ethan and Sarah, and the laughter of children swirling in her head. But there remained that weight of uncertainty, a nagging voice that warned her to be cautious. Holly. Ethan called, catching up to her. His energy radiated, almost palpable in the cooling air. Did you see the way he lit up when he talked about the kids? I mean, this could really happen. She turned, catching the bright spark in his eyes. I know, but... She hesitated, searching for the right words. It's not just about shiny projects. We need to keep our community's heart intact. But what if he's the key? Ethan insisted, his excitement unabated. He's got the means to make real change, and he seems to want to include everyone. In the distance, she spotted Sarah leaning against a lamppost, scrolling through her phone. Holly's heart sank, all the enthusiasm seemed to hover precariously in the air, fragile and uncertain. Approaching her friend, she felt the weight of their conversation slip into silence. Did you hear what Ryan said? Holly asked, trying to gauge Sarah's stance. Yeah, seems promising, Sarah replied, her voice flat, more reflective than excited. But I don't know. There's always a risk when it comes to folks like him. They can easily forget the little guys. There's no denying it feels different this time, Holly said, crossing her arms tightly against the chill. But what if he means it? What if we could really steer things in a way that benefits us? Sarah sighed. I just want to make sure we're not swept under the rug, you know? I don't want all those ideas to cover up our own voices. As they walked, Holly spotted the familiar spot where she'd spent countless hours writing, dreaming about what their community could become. The sun was casting vibrant hues over everything, and she could hear snippets of laughter cascading from the nearby park where kids played, their carefree joy echoing in the crisp air. I want to believe, she said slowly, fear tightening her throat. But if things take a wrong turn, we've got to be ready. We need to keep our spirits up high, but we must ground ourselves in reality. If things start to spiral, we'll figure it out together, right? Ethan said, wrapping a reassuring arm around her shoulder. His warmth eased the edges of her worry, and she felt a flicker of hope. Together, they would forge ahead. Days turned into weeks, and the anticipation around Ryan's next meeting grew. News about his plans created buzz in town, and there was a mixture of excitement and dread in people's conversations, a blend bubbling just beneath the surface. Holly's heart raced each time her phone pinged with updates. Finally, they gathered again in a community hall, a space filled with the smell of coffee and fresh pastries. The air buzzed with anticipation. Holly glanced around, seeing familiar faces filled with uncertainty and hope. Ryan was set to reveal more concrete plans, an outline to the dreams that had come alive. As Holly took her seat, she caught Ryan's eye from across the room. He nodded at her, a confident smile dancing on his lips. But as he walked to the lectern, a shadow flickered across his features for just a moment, a fleeting reminder of her doubts. What lay ahead was no longer theirs to navigate alone. They were ready to jump into the unknown. Would Ryan's vision truly align with the town's heart? Or was this just another dream at risk of shattering? With that heavy thought, she felt her heart beat faster, an exhilarating pause as she awaited what would follow. The moment of truth was approaching. Could they trust the man standing before them to keep safeguarding their spirit? The community hall buzzed like a beehive, an electric energy crackling through the air. Holly glanced around the room filled with familiar faces, each one reflecting a unique blend of hope and uncertainty. She took a deep breath, steadying herself as Ryan approached the podium, his presence commanding the room's attention. "Thank you all for coming," Ryan began, his voice clear and confident. "Today, we'll outline the plans not just for a project, but for a shared future, one that encompasses all of us." He paused, searching the crowd, his gaze landing on Holly's. A flicker of encouragement ignited her spirit, nudging her to trust in this moment. That he launched into his presentation, passionately detailing revitalized parks, community engagement programs, and entrepreneurship initiatives aimed at uplifting local voices. As he spoke, a bright tapestry of dreams began to weave itself into a tangible vision for their town. But still, threads of doubt lingered. "Ryan," Holly interjected, summoning her courage. "This is all incredible, but how do we ensure that our stories remain at the heart of what you're proposing? It's easy to have big ideas, but we need a plan to stay grounded, to keep our community intrinsically connected." Behind her, murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. "Absolutely," Ryan responded, his voice steady. "That's why I brought in local leaders to collaborate on this. Your voices will guide every step. This isn't just about me, it's about all of us." Holly felt a flicker of hope again. Maybe this was genuinely different. A new chapter opening. Laughter erupted when Ryan humorously invited people to share their local stories, many diving into anecdotes that highlighted the beauty of their community. "See?" she whispered to Ethan, who stood beside her, his eyes gleaming with excitement. He's starting to listen. As the meeting progressed, more community members rose to share their thoughts. Together, they painted a vivid picture of what they wanted for their town: job opportunities for youth, safe spaces for families, artwork reflecting their diverse backgrounds. Ryan responded with enthusiasm, weaving their suggestions into his vision, demonstrating a deepening understanding of their needs. The momentum shifted in an undeniable way. Conversations flowed like a river, and enthusiasm sparked to life. Seeing people connect, strangers turn into allies, made Holly's heart swell. This was proof of collective resolve rising to embrace change, but as the meeting drifted towards its conclusion, a familiar voice cut through the excitement. "What's in it for Ryan? You think he's really here to help, or is this just a way to build his empire on our backs?" It was Derek, the cynic of the group, his words sharpened like daggers. The atmosphere shifted, anxiety swirling back into the room. Holly's instincts kicked in. "We need to hold him accountable," she urged, her voice steady against the rising tension. "But we can't let fear drown out the possibilities in front of us. We are the ones steering this." A sense of bravery hurled itself through her as she realized this was their moment, not just to question, but to rally. "Let us build something great together," someone yelled encouragingly, creating a wave of applause that surged through the hall. Ryan positively shone, his confidence buoyed by the energy. "Together, we can redefine what this community looks like. Your ideas are the backbone of this project." And just like that, the storm subsided. A harmony bloomed, a convergence of fear and hope, doubt and belief. Holly felt a wave of relief wash over her. Perhaps, just perhaps, Ryan was worth trusting. In the days that followed, they plunged into planning sessions, brainstorming wild ideas and setting tangible goals to achieve. Relationships strengthened, bonds flourished, and Holly found herself uplifted in ways she never imagined. On a chilly Friday evening, as she watched Jake gleefully join other children at the park, she felt a wave of gratitude. This was why she fought so hard. His laughter was the heartbeat of her resolve. "Mom!" Jake yelled, his tiny feet running toward her. "I made a new friend." His radiant smile ignited a joy deep within her. "That's awesome, buddy." She beamed, pulling him into a warm embrace. In that moment, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold, she realized that they weren't just shaping a community, they were forging a family, one filled with hope, resilience, and love. As days turned to weeks, the transformation was palpable. Murals splashed vibrant color on old buildings, new job fairs beckoned local entrepreneurs, and the community felt alive again. Pulsing with pride, standing on the stage where it all began, Holly took a deep breath. Glancing at the crowd before her. This was their moment. Together we turned dreams into plans. She shouted, her voice ringing out with electrifying passion. We took a leap, that courageous leap we all needed, and look at what we created. Cheers erupted. Embraces filled the air. Gratitude surged, and Holly sensed an overwhelming connection binding them together as one. They had feared the worst, but most importantly, they had chosen to believe, and in that feeling of unity, she turned to Ethan, who stood by her side. We did it, she whispered, her heart warm with pride. Yes, we did, he smiled back, his faithful gaze encouraging. As the sky darkened into a blanket of stars, Holly found solace in something bigger than herself, a community transformed. Each face shone with newfound hope and determination. Don't ever forget, we are our own voices, she called out. And they all cheered with heartbeats interlinked, ready to face whatever came next. Now, as this chapter draws to a close, there's a challenge for you. You need to subscribe now to the channel if you want to keep up with our incredible journeys. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm and help others discover these transformations. Comment below to share how you felt about this emotional journey. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this power of unity. Let us spread the hope and encouragement.